What's weird? The trailers of this movie play kickstart my heart, and it's nowhere in the film except the credits. The Dirt. The Dirt is the adaptation of the great memoir written by Motley Crue themselves. I fucking love this book, by the way. And basically it just tells the story of Motley Crue. That's pretty much what this movie is. It's the story of how Motley Crue became Motley Crue and the trouble that occurred after that and the awakening. And this movie's great. I absolutely love this movie, and I will sing this film praises. I made a TikTok a couple weeks ago where I said that I watched, actually it's last week, is that in a matter of 4 days I watched Us and The Dirt, and I said that The Dirt was better. And I might get shit for that, but I mean, I just think it's a more focused film. And then again, the only reason why I say that is because I have a connection to The Dirt. I started reading this book 4 years ago. I read this book 4 years ago, and I absolutely fucking fell in love with it. It's a great memoir, and I recommend you reading it. If you haven't seen the film yet, I recommend you reading the book so you get kind of more insight on what the movie is, really what the movie is. And so really, what makes this film great? For one thing, the cast is amazing. I think everyone in this movie does their damn best, and that's great. At first, when I heard Machine Gun Kelly was going to play Tommy Lee, I was very pissed. I was like, oh, you're going to have a rapper play a rock icon. That's not insensitive or anything. And then I watched the movie, and fucking Machine Gun Kelly kills in this film. He really does bring so much, and he kind of embodies Tommy Lee in a way. Because if you read the book, or really see any interviews with Tommy Lee, or that weird video on the Fine Bros channel where he reacts to kids watching Motley Crue videos. It's a weird video. But he is a very energetic human being. This is in the book. A book. You know, a book that's words on pages. Even that shit's energetic. Any part with Tommy Lee writing in the book, it's super energetic. And his energy is so contagious. And Machine Gun Kelly captures that perfectly. Daniel Webber as Vince Neil did a fine job. I think he is probably the less amount of screen time as the rest of the guys, but I still think he does a great performance, and he pretty much captures the sluttiness of Vince Neil. And Douglas Booth actually kind of plays Nicky in a weird way that I didn't think he would. I mean, I'm not saying that I know everything about Nicky, how he acted and everything, but I don't know, because if you see interviews of Nicky, or really especially in the 80s where this movie takes place, he's a completely different person. He is kind of this awkward, well-spoken person in the interviews. In this movie, he's kind of the shit-talking, the shit-talking rocker, which that's what he was. But I mean, I don't know, it was weird. But I think but even if it's not exactly the exact characteristics of Nicky Six, I think Douglas does a great job either way. And actually, he was one of the highlights of the film for me. The guy who plays Mick. Mick in this movie is portrayed perfectly. He is this old man who has that I hate this place, everyone around me is a dumbass attitude, and I fucking love that. The funniest parts of the book was Mick's stories. And oh my god, is it captured so perfectly. Because it's kind of funny because he's just like, I mean imagine this. You're an older person and you have to hang out with these crazy ass boys, and he's kind of the straight man of the band, and he's a straight man in this movie too, because even he's like, guys are being stupid. I don't know. I just love making this film. Perfect. So yeah, the cast pretty much kills it in this film, and I think everyone does their best job. Mainly Douglas Booth, Machine Gun Kelly. I think they're the ones who kind of, you know, up the ante in this film, which is good. And the music's great. The soundtrack of this film is amazing. A thing that I kind of don't like whenever biopics about musicians do is that they say, well, we're not going to play the original track because, we want the actors to be able to sing songs. And that's fine. Some people actually pull it off. Jamie Foxx pulled it off, and soon Taron Egerton's going to pull it off in Rocket Man. But the thing is, a lot of times it sounds like complete shit, and it's like, because it's so hard to, it's hard enough for an actor to mimic the way a famous celebrity, a famous musician acts and talks. Can you imagine what that shit's like with singing? It's like, that's a hard thing to pull off. And I think Daniel Weber pulls it off amazingly in this film, and usually it's kind of, in other movies it'd be like a shitty cover song, but in this movie I think Daniel Weber did his best to mimic Vince Neil's voice, and I have to give the movie credit for that. It might be modified for all I know. And I was surprised, I was kind of taken back whenever how raunchy this movie actually is. Yes, the book is complete raunch. It is, yeah. And this movie goes an extra step further into bringing those raunchy stories to life. One of the funniest parts in the book is a story where Tommy's saying this girl squirted across the room. The opening scene of this movie is that exact same story coming to life. And I was like, oh shit. I'll have to give you credit for that. Give this movie credit because I've never seen a girl squirt in a movie before. At least not porn. That's unique. This movie goes so far, and it's extremely hardcore. In the more fun hardcore ways, the destructive hardcore ways, and the emotional hardcore. It pretty much captures Motley Crue so well, and it captures the book as well too. And that's why I think the book I think the book and the movie are pretty much the same at this point, because they take the stories of the band, try to put one cohesive narrative through that. That's pretty hard to do, because there's thousands of great things in there that aren't in this film. But I understand you're not going to be able to pack that shit in an hour and 1 minute. I completely understand that. But the thing that you have to really give this movie credit for is it doesn't hold your hand. This is a very honest film. They could have easily sugarcoated the shit out of this film. Being like, kind of how, Straight Outta Compton did with NWA, where really the band did nothing wrong, didn't show kind of the sleazy, horrible thing they did. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. And I respect this movie in the book as well, for being like, we did this horrible shit, we regret it every day of our lives. Now we're going to confess to you what horrible things we did. And I love that about this film. It's an honest film. I'm very surprised Netflix made this, because this movie was in development hell for years. They were talking about this shit in like 2004, and like multiple studios, saying no to them. And eventually, I'm surprised Netflix was like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. It's like, hell yeah. So really, it's an honest film. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It doesn't try to make them look, It's not saying, well, they're the main protagonists, so they can't have irredeemable values about them. It's not like, well, if they're the main characters, we can't have them have irredeemable values. It's like, yeah. It's It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna give you the truth. We're gonna give you the dirt. That's what I love about this movie. It just doesn't give it. It just tries to be honest with you. It doesn't grab you. It doesn't grab your hand. It doesn't hold your hand to process. It's like you're gonna see this horrible shit. You might get a couple of chuckles, and you'll see the rise and fall of Mötley Crüe, and I love that. And this movie surprisingly has a lot of emotional moments, especially with the reckoning portion of the film. There's kind of the reckoning portion where everything's falling apart. The main thing is Vince Neil's and Nikki Sixx's reckoning. That is horrible. It was very hard to watch. Especially Vince Neil with his daughter. That was very hard to watch for me. And I did cry. And I think this movie, I have to give it even more credit because it's a film that made me cry. That's pretty fucking hard. A movie to make me cry, that's pretty hard. And I'm man enough to admit that. But in the Nikki Sixx one, it was the whole heroin thing. It might be because I'm a squeamish person. Like I can take a needle in my arm, for the doctors, but I can't stand seeing other people have a needle in their arm. Because it freaks me out seeing a needle go through people's veins and shit. Ugh, it's weird. And that was a scene hard. That scene was mainly hard because I was squeamish. So there's that fact. And another thing that gives this movie insane props and authenticity is that a thing that I don't think much people see in the 80s. People kind of see the 80s as this, this goofy time in the world, Cold War, AIDS. I'm not saying it's goofy. I'm just saying it's memorable things about the 80s. But most people don't talk about how 80s was really the decade of excess. Nikki Sixx has mentioned this, and it's more explored in the book than it is in the movie. Actually, it's barely even touched on, it's kind of shown. But is that the 80s was the time of excess. The economy was booming. People had more money than they ever had before. There's a story that's in the book. It's in the book, and Nikki Sixx has said it in interviews before, is that they would check in a motel. People would already be partying, drinking, doing drugs. There'd be girls grabbing guys to the bathroom. And that's even before Mötley even got there. So you can't blame them. But I love that. But yeah, it shows you it's a time of excess. Because everyone was just going insane. It's like the world was burning. Everyone was just going insane at this point. And the movie beautifully captures that. This movie is all about excess. And not in a bad way, it just shows you what that excess looked like. It just shows you what excess looked like. It just shows you excess. And the two complaints, one of them is that, there's two complaints I've been hearing from people. One of them is that, this movie is mainly them, doing drugs and partying. It's like, it's mainly, most of this movie is them doing drugs, fucking, and partying. I was like, yes, that was a major element of their life. And it was a major element of the book. You kind of have to show that part of it. Actually, it has to do that because it has to show you the destructive part of their lives. They did stupid shit. And sometimes I did think they went kind of overboard with mainly the strip club scenes, which were like hundreds of women in one room, tits out. But, I mean, it's fine because it makes sense in the context of the film. I think it works. And, I mean, the movie's not all that. Actually, it starts building more and more. It kind of goes back and forth, that lifestyle, eventually, throwing it out and showing you the reckoning portion of the film. Mötley, man. Fucking Mötley. And the second complaint is the second complaint that I hear is that there's a weird fourth wall break that they do that doesn't fit. Actually, it does fit. I know I'm gonna sound like a douchebag. In the book is a memoir. It's based on a book that it's a memoir. 4 different people wrote that book. You kind of have to show it from multiple perspectives, because 4 different people wrote the book. So you have to show multiple perspectives. And actually, it kind of helps the movie, and the fourth wall breaking, because usually it's people saying, well, it's usually when, everything stops and the character will be like, that's not how it happened, this is how it happened. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. Because really, that's fine. Actually, it helps the movie in a way. It gives it its own style and kind of tone to it. That's how the book was. And it shows you that that you can do it in that style and it work. And I think it works in the context of this film perfectly. It is not out of place because the movie's tone is very in line with that fourth wall breaking. So if you don't agree with me, it's fine. The main complaint the main thing I don't like about this movie, and it's a thing, it's something. I have one main complaint in this movie, is that some things are off. There's the scene where they're kind of, making they're coming up with, the name Motley Crue. For some weird reason, it's done in a weird way. The execution of how they got their name is weird in this movie. It's different than how it was in the book, in real life. But it's like Mick Mars, he just kind of writes on a piece of paper and it says Motley Crue on it. And everybody else is like, oh shit, you serious? It's like, what the fuck, what? It was such a weird moment. I was like, why? Why is that a big deal to you guys? And yes, for someone who has read the book story actually makes more, the real story how Motley Crue's name came makes more sense. It's just, the whole thing is a guy coming in the room and saying, oh, you're a motley looking crew. I would have taken that over what the film presented. It was such a weird moment. Then again, that's probably, in the mindset of the director, is probably like, oh, it's this cool moment where they realize the name was perfect for them. No, it's just out of place and weird. That's what I think that scene is. And also, the relation, again, I said that the characterizations are perfect. The problem with that is that there's not much of a relationship. Now, I don't know too much about the Vince and Mick relationships, but I know Tommy and Nikki were the closest friends ever. They're the closest friends ever. And they have tons of history together. There's almost 40 years of history. And it's something, and that's something that needed to be shown here. There's not much development on that. There's moments of joking and kind of a friendship between them, but that's pretty much it. It's just there's no friendship established between those two, and I wanted to see that more. It's something that I kind of wish, and the thing I'm wondering the most, why is this movie an hour and 1 minute? That's a weird time length. Modern audiences, they're used to hour and 30 minute to 2 hour long films. This movie didn't even need to be 2 hours long. It needed to be at least an hour and 30 minutes. Because they could have put more stuff in here. There could have been more character development. There could have been more relationship, like I mentioned. And, I don't know, there could have been more in this film, and there's not that much. An hour and 1 minute is a weird time to end the movie. You're taking from material that has a shit ton of time. You're taking from material that has a lot of shit into it. Of almost, 20 years of someone's life. There needed to be more, the movie needed to be longer. It needed to be longer. I wish it was longer. But it's just a weird thing. I think that is the main thing that hurts the movie, is that they kind of rushed it a little bit. I don't think it's extremely rushed. It's not like Death Note where the movie feels like it's an hour long. But it is... But it's not as bad as that, but it's still rushed in a way. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the movie. It's a great film. Won the time problem. So I'm going to have to give The Dirt a B. Wow. I am late on this shit. So yeah, I thought this is better than Us. Remember, I have a connection with The Dirt more than I have Us. And The Dirt is more focused than Us. So, and it actually stuck by its tone the whole way through. Like, subscribe to everyone, and I'll see you guys next time. It's like, I know, like, movie audiences nowadays, they're used to 2 hours. Fucking hell.